Taylor Wilkowski, I never thought I had to bring your name up again, but one of your clients came over and attacked me on my own page because of the reaction video I did to you. And he came at me with full knowledge, admitted he never read Skinner, which means that you never read Skinner either. Welcome to the page of knowledge. Welcome to the page of ignorance. Welcome to the page of lies in actuality. I'm going to prove to you that Taylor Wilkowski couldn't find her own ass with a map when it comes to dog training and behavior. Okay? Let's get into this. First of all, I know about the Animal Behavior College. I've talked to many trainers from the Animal Behavior College, and I proved to them what you learned at the Animal Behavior College was actually incorrect. And you're not learning Skinner. In actuality, you're learning Conrad Most, who was the father of Schutzhund's IGP dog training, the sport of obedience, tracking, and protection. Okay? In 2015, she was taught three main types of training. Positive reinforcement training. There's no such thing as a positive reinforcement trainer, ladies and gentlemen. If you sit down and read Conrad Most, Training Dogs, the book, you would understand that book is the very basis for everything dog training today. The real quadrants of dog training are not positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, positive punishment, negative punishment. They are, in fact, primary and secondary inducements and primary and secondary inducive compulsions. Then she goes on to mention compulsion-based dog training. Well, guess what? Guess where the compulsion name for balance training came from? The inducements and compulsions from Conrad Most. Okay? Let's get into this. Let's start with the definition of operant conditioning. In her mind, in operant conditioning, positive reinforcement involves the addition of reinforcing stimulus. Bullshit. And she declares this is all B.F. Skinner. She's never read a book from B.F. Skinner, and she should. Everybody should sit down and read a book from B.F. Skinner. Why do I say that? She's defining operant conditioning like every other dog trainer is defining operant conditioning. And if you get on Google and look up operant conditioning, it comes back with a method of behavioral modification used in reward and punishment. Hence the quadrants of dog training. How did Skinner define operant conditioning? Let's take a look, because it wasn't that way. A very different process through which a person comes to deal effectively with a new environment is operant conditioning. Many things in the environment, such as food, water, sexual contact, and escape from harm, are crucial for the survival of the individual and the species, and any behavior that produces them, therefore, has survival value. All of this is based on positive consequences and negative consequences of the animal's choices, okay? Not reward and punishment from the human. What you're looking at, escape from harm, is called flight. All of this other stuff, guess what? You're going to have a fight response, which means moving forward. Flight responses are your positive reinforcement. So when you see a dog in full-blown aggression and reactivity, the dog is showing positive reinforcement. They're trying to remove a negative reinforcement. And we're going to get into that a little bit further down, okay? Through the process of operant conditioning, behavior having this kind of consequences becomes more likely to occur. So yeah, if you give your child a bowl of ice cream for the first time, and they love it, guess what? It's going to be more likely to occur. It's a positive consequence. If your child reaches out and touches the hot stove, the consequence of a burn for their actions is a negative consequence that's going to turn immediately into a negative reinforcement that teaches the child to avoid the hot stove. Okay? This is the reality. But yet Taylor's telling you point blank, goes adding things. Just have a treat. No, it's not. What else are we going to get into? Negative punishment. Positive reinforcement. Again, positive reinforcement is actually the removal of negative reinforcement. What is negative reinforcement? The removal of positive reinforcement. Okay? Negative reinforcements generate behaviors. Punishment is a different animal altogether. Okay? Definition, behavioral psychology. The goal of punishment is to decrease a certain unwanted behavior. That's kind of sort of right. What does Skinner say about it? Punishment is easily confused with negative reinforcement, sometimes called aversive control. All the aversive controls, the treats, the tools, the prong collars, the e-collars, this is what Skinner's getting at. The same stimuli are used, and negative reinforcement might be defined as punishment for not behaving. Might be defined as punishment, but yet, dog trainers put negative reinforcement and punishment together. They are not the same. But punishment is designed to remove a behavior from a repertoire, whereas negative reinforcement generates behavior. And do I need to explain that? Punishment is designed to remove a behavior from a repertoire, but that's all we ever hear from the positive reinforcement crowd is to stop behaviors, shut down behaviors. You're trying to remove a behavior from a repertoire, and that's all punishment. Guess what? Negative reinforcement generates behaviors. So when your dog is going fight and flight in the environment, it's something in the environment. Guess what? There's something in the environment that it looks at as a negative reinforcement. The negative reinforcement that's in the environment is actually punishing the dog and generating the behavior of fight and flight, the aggression and reactivity. But yet, people like Taylor are telling you point blank to interfere in the dog's ability to rationalize. And rationalization is a very important skill. When human beings meet something new in the environment, guess what? If you're not sure of it, you're going to go reactive. Your cortisol and adrenaline levels just went up, putting you on a precipice of fight and flight. Now you need to ask yourself, you need to figure out, you need time to figure out, is this thing worthy of being afraid or not? Is this thing worthy of being reactive to? If it is, then you're going to run away. If it isn't, then you're going to make it not a big deal. And once something is made not a big deal, that's called socialization. Let's carry on. Balance training. Balance trainers are best known for use in all four quadrants of operant conditioning. There is no quadrants of operant conditioning because operant conditioning is not what you define it as. Okay? The real quadrants of dog training are primary inducement, secondary inducements, primary inducive compulsions, and secondary inducive compulsions. Now go get on Google and look up the words inducement and compulsion. That explains dog training. There is no such thing as a positive reinforcement trainer. This is a lie. Okay? We're going to get into positive punishment and negative punishment. Again, according to Taylor, it's all B.F. Skinner. B.F. Skinner published 21 books, I think, and over 180 papers in his lifetime, through his whole career. Not once have I ever heard the terms positive punishment or negative punishment. B.F. Skinner himself openly opposed punishment. Why? Because once you understand what a behavior is, and once you define the word, which Taylor cannot do, then punishment is out the window. Now, how many dogs are being killed today? Behavior euthanized, punished. It's the ultimate in punishment. And once you understand what a behavior is, which Taylor does not, guess what? Then behavioral euthanasia is not even an option. But yet millions of dogs have died because of this bullshit. I'm not blaming Taylor for that. She's just ignorant. She doesn't know the difference because she hasn't read B.F. Skinner. She learned what she learned, just like every other dog trainer. They're learning Conrad Most and Edward Thorndike's methodological behaviorism. But they're blaming B.F. Skinner, a radical behaviorist. And B.F. Skinner, as a radical behaviorist, would tell you to replace your dog with a human child and ask you what you would do different. Why would he do that? Because that's exactly what he was doing in his lab. He was replacing human beings with dogs, pigeons, and rats, and doing experiments on them to understand human behavior. But yet, under Edward Thorndike and methodological behaviorism, the unfortunate reality is the number one rule: do not compare human behavior with that of lesser species. Okay? This is what we're pushing. Positive punishment is a concept used by B.F. Skinner's theory of operant conditioning. No, it's not. Again, Skinner wrote 21 books and 180 papers in his lifetime. I've never heard the terms positive punishment or in any of his works. So again, they're pushing the idea that punishment is reinforcing. Punishing contingencies are just the reverse of reinforcing. When a person spanks your child or threatens to spank him because he misbehaved, he's presenting a negative reinforcer rather than removing one. Presenting a negative reinforcement. What is negative reinforcement? The removal of positive reinforcement. So by doing that, you're actually removing the dog's positive reinforcement, and that's the worst punishment you can do. Okay? Let's go down to the bottom here. A punished person remains inclined to behave in a punishable way, but he avoids punishment by doing something else instead, possibly nothing more than stubbornly doing nothing. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the pure definition of learned helplessness. That's the reality. What Taylor is pushing here, the page of knowledge, is all garbage, and she won't verify it because she will not sit down and read a book from B.F. Skinner. Taylor, can you even define the word behavior? I can. You can't. Okay? What is a behavior? A behavior is an emotional, which is an instinctual response. Your body's response to something in the environment. That's what it is. But you don't even know that. And once you understand, once you define that word, then the entire system of dog training goes in the garbage. But that's what dog trainers don't want you to know. So they keep pushing the same bullshit that you hear from trainer after trainer after trainer, and you believe it. But nobody is going to sit down and read a book from B.F. Skinner to actually verify what you're being told. I'm going to post the links to Conrad Most's book. I'm going to post a link to his audio book, and you can verify all this yourself. And I'm going to post the actual book from B.F. Skinner. If you don't want to read the entire book, I beg of you, there's 35 pages at the end in the summing up chapter. Read it, and I guarantee you, you're going to understand, you're going to prove it to yourself that people like Taylor Wilkowski are outright lying to you. They're bullshitting you because they want their money. And then Taylor's going, well, it can take 2 years to get a dog over reactivity. No, reactivity is not a diagnosis, okay? Behaviors are not a diagnosis. It's all cause and effect. The reactivity the dog is showing is the effect. What's causing the reactivity? Nobody ever asked that question. You never work on the cause. And therefore, your dog's behavior gets worse. If you don't fix the cause of the dog's behavior, it's going to start growing heads. And you can punish the shit out of it all you want. If you're suppressing behaviors, and that's all punishment does is suppress behavior, then it's going to start growing heads. And this is why behaviors get worse. If anybody wants to talk about this, if Taylor wants to do a podcast to talk about all this stuff, I'm all ears. You know what? The door is open. I would love to get her on a podcast and discuss what she learned at her animal behavior college, because I know what she learned at the animal behavior college is absolute crap. Have a wonderful day.